they want to see a plan. Now that plan, like I said, you could say we're going to start at 100,000 and go up by 50,000 a year, and when pension funding becomes available, we'll do that. But at least that's a plan you can present to the rating agencies.
Right.
Or you say we're going to start at, just even forget about the pension funding, say we're going to set aside 200,000 increase by 25,000 a year. We're going to set aside 1% of payroll. You know, however you want to say it. There's a lot of different ways. But it's a plan you can present to them and say, this is how we're addressing the issue. And, you know, we're going to come back and revisit the plan every 4 to 5 years because life changes. But that's really the concept here, is to show them you have a plan rather than to say every time we have some free cash, we'll throw in 50 grand here, we'll throw in 100 grand there. That's great, but it doesn't really show, to me as a potential buyer of your bonds, it doesn't really show me that you guys are really addressing the issue. It's saying when I find someone under the couch cushions, I'll throw it in, as opposed to saying, you know, kind of like your retirement. If the argument, you know, I run this people because we have a big retirement business. People always say, well, I get to the end of the year and there's no money left to save. And I said, well, if that's your mentality, you'll never save a dime. You save first, spend second, because there's never any money left over. I can tell you that from my own budget. But if you set the money aside first, which is really what this is trying to say, then you start, you know, developing a plan, and that's how, you know, kind of really what they want to see.
That's fine. I mean, but with it, as individuals, there's an end.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
We're saving because there's a time in life where we're not earning and we're still spending. Here, it goes on forever. There's never an end. There's always a new generation of people.
There's always a new generation. But here, the idea here is in 30 years, you've got the thing really
Right.
sustainable at that point.
Right. Okay.
But you're right. This is an ongoing entity, a living, breathing, ongoing entity that replaces itself.
Right.
So as people leave, more people come in to replace them.
Right. Mr. Harnett?
I just want to make sure if Parker could quickly explain what's going on at the bottom line there, where the pension, our unfunded pension liability is scheduled to end in 2033.
Yes.
You're talking about replacing those dollars and earmarking them against.
Yeah, I mean, basically what I was saying is in 2033 or 2034, your pension liability will be fully funded. So at that point, we're going to say, let's start really ramping up the funding then. So, you know, we assumed, and I didn't have your pension valuation, so I had to make a guess here. I said in 2033, you probably had about a $3 million pension liability that would come off the books. Purely a guess, because I've never seen your pension valuation, but based on similar sized districts, that's what I went with. And so I said, okay, we'll be cruising along here, going up at, you know, $50,000 a year, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're going to increase it by $3 million and just now have that $3 million number going forward. So that's kind of what we did there. And again, you get there a whole lot of different ways, but under all three scenarios there, you get to about $90 million in 30 years. So there's, you know, this way is very backloaded. You know, this one is more front-loaded, this one a little less front-loaded, but they all get you to the same place over time.
It sounds like a discussion for our finance subcommittee to continue, and I just wanted to hit a few while you were here to answer the questions.
No, absolutely.
But that helps me a lot understand this. I did think that there was a bubble coming we were trying to save for, and now I understand a little bit better that that's not the scenario. There's different reasons to do it.
See, most people do have a bubble coming. You guys are unusual that you don't. And that's because of the maturity of your population. Because you have so many retired teachers, and like I said, those are falling off faster than they're being replaced. So your liability in today's dollars is really at an all-time high. So that's just, you don't have the bubble like, say, a town that I work with might have 500 actives and say 50 retirees.
Right.
They're the pig in theirs, it's got a long way to go before we peak. In your guys' case, you've been around long enough where you've kind of stabilized. So you're a more mature entity that has its blessings and it has its curses. You know, that other town isn't paying out $2 million a year. They're paying out $200,000 a year. But they've got a much bigger number coming down the pike. You guys are kind of in a stable place. The only other quick thing I would tell you real quick is, you know, when you talk about taking it to the finance committee, I just encourage you next time your ratings people are in, you know, or, you know, your people who deal with the rating agencies, just try and start a conversation about, guys, these are just things we're thinking about, and kind of see, before you commit to anything, any type of plan, just kind of feel them out and see what would make them happy. Because there's no point going, oh, we'll commit to this great plan, and they go, yeah, it's not really what we're looking for. So at least, you know, have the conversation before you commit to anything.
Right.
You know, it's 5 minutes up front's probably worth it on your end.